Hello, my friends, and welcome to the April 2025 real estate market update for the southwestern Raleigh suburbs of Morrisville, Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, and Fuquay-Varina. Now you might be wondering, Heather, why are you recording from your car again? And that's a great question. The reason is, number one, I'm just busy. Thank you to everyone who's reached out from YouTube. And number two, I'm on my way to preview a really unique property in Moncure, North Carolina. This is a log cabin on 10 acres. So I thought I would take you guys out there to see it, record the market update while we're out there, and you kind of get a twofer. You get a market update and you get to see a really cool cabin. What do you say? Let's do it? All right, here we go. All right, now as we're driving out here to Moncure, I want to remind you that if you are considering a relocation to this area, last week I posted a video about self-guided tours. Now I offer these self-guided tours on my website. You can just download them. As mentioned in the video, I'm not going to harass you or anything like that. But if you take a look at the video, I'll put a link up here on the screen. It will tell you how to download and utilize these self-guided tours. So if you're coming to the area and you're not ready to reach out to a real estate agent, me preferably, you can check out these tours and get to know the area a little bit. All right, so let's continue on our trip to Moncure. All right, we are just about pulling in. Check this place out. Hey everyone, I'm Heather Taylor, founder of Tailored Realty Group, where we create real estate experiences tailored to who? That's right, tailored to you. Now, as you saw, I'm sitting out here in Moncure at this very cool log cabin, and I'll give you a quick tour of the log cabin once we get through this market update. So let's get to it, beginning with, as always, median prices. Let me put that on the screen here for you. You're gonna have median prices separated by town and by type of property. You'll notice the line that is highlighted in green. That is the most common type of property that my clients are looking for, which is single family resale homes. So these median prices will give you an idea of what houses are selling for in the various areas that you may be looking in. If you want to get more into detail about that, please feel free to reach out to me on my website. You can book a free consultation and we can talk about any of these numbers that you want to geek out on, because I do love doing that stuff. Now remember, these are median prices, so half the homes that sold in these areas last month in March sold over this price point, and half of them sold under. All right, now let's dig into the stats that I think are most important when you are making your home buying and selling decisions. And those are days of supply, where homes are selling relative to their original list price, and how many homes are selling over, at, and under list price, the number of houses with price reductions, and of course, days on market. Let's get started. Now I'm going to put all these numbers up on the screen for you as always. Just remember that red arrows are an indication that the market is slowing down or moving closer to a buyer's market. Green arrows, no matter which direction they're pointing, up or down, are an indication that the market is getting hotter or moving further into a seller's market. So let's begin with the current months of supply in Morrisville. We've got 2.7. In Cary, we've got 2.5 months of supply. In Apex, 2.2 months of supply. In Holly Springs, 2.0, and in Fuquay-Varina, 3.0. Now, you will notice red arrows across the boards there. All of these months of supply are moving up. That means moving more towards a buyer's market, which is really interesting because as we go through the rest of the data, you'll kind of see a mixed bag here. Some things looking more like we're moving closer to a seller's market, and other things look like we're trending more towards a buyer's market. Remember, buyer's market is anything above 6 months of supply, and seller's market is anything below 4 months of supply. So between those 4 and 6 months of supply, we're really more of a balanced market. Now, in the last several years, we've really seen things leaning heavily towards a seller's market. But as we creep up in Fuquay-Varina at 3 months of supply, we are creeping closer and closer to that more neutral point. It'll be interesting to see how, as those months of supply creep up, whether prices start to shift even more. But let's take a look at what we're seeing right now. Number of price reductions for homes closed in March. Beginning in Morrisville, we've got 30% of homes had price reductions. That is increased over the closed sales in February. In Cary, 25% also increased, but in Apex and Holly Springs, we are at 19% and 22%. Both of those towns had fewer price reductions in March than in February. And then in Fuquay-Varina, we see another red arrow at 42% of the listings having price reductions. That is increased over the closed sales in February. Now, how did homes do compared to their original list price? What was their sales price in relation to their original list price for houses that closed in March? Looking in Morrisville, we have 97%, so homes are selling at 97% of their original list price. That is down since February. Cary, we are at 98%, also down, so the closed sales in March closed at a lower list to sales price ratio than they did in February. Now in Apex and Holly Springs, we're seeing a different trend. Apex for the month of March was selling at an average of 100% of its original list price to sales price. So things were selling mostly at the price they were listed at. Holly Springs 98%, that's also up from last month. And then Fuquay-Varina was flat at 97%. Okay, now taking a look at what I would say is my overall favorite stat for pricing strategies and making offers, and that is how many homes sold over, at, and under list price. Now, obviously, based on this data, it really is helpful when you're in multiple offer situations to figure out, are you going to really need to go over asking price? We are seeing over asking price being a much lower percentage over asking price than it was in the height of the market during COVID. So yes, we might be going over, but you might be looking at a smaller percentage over. Well, you'll definitely be looking at a much smaller percentage over than you were back then. Okay, starting with Morrisville, we have 25% sold over list price, 10% at list price, and 65% sold under list price. You see the red arrows there showing that fewer homes are selling over list price and more homes are selling under list price. Moving on to Cary, you see a totally different story here. We've got 34% selling over list price, 25% at list price, and then 41% under list price. Those numbers are all more favorable for sellers than they were in my last market report. Taking a look at Apex, 39% over, 16% at, and 45% under list price. Again, both of those are green arrows showing that things are moving in a good direction in Apex compared to last month's report. And then in Holly Springs, same thing, 27% over list price, 26% at list price, and 47% under list price. Again, green arrows, better than last market report. And in Fuquay-Varina, only 15% of homes selling over list price, 23% at list price, and then 62% selling under list price. So this is, again, why I think it's really important to separate this data out by town, because when you're grouping together Holly Springs and Fuquay-Varina, for example, they're having a very different experience regarding pricing. So anyway, that's why I think it's a good idea to separate them out by town. Hopefully you're finding value in that. Feel free to comment in the comments below. Where else would you comment? Feel free to comment below about your thoughts on me separating these all out by town, or if there's some other way you'd like to see the data split up. Let's move on to median days on market. For Morrisville, we saw 8 days, Cary 5, Apex 7, Holly Springs 11, and Fuquay-Varina 18 days as your median days on market. So no matter how you cut it, that is still a market that is moving pretty quickly. I mean, if your house is only on the market for 5 days and it sells, I'd say that's a massive win. Even our highest number here, Fuquay-Varina at 18 days, that's still a fantastic market. So green arrows all the way across the line there showing us that the median days on market did improve across all of the towns for homes closed in March. All right, that's all the market data I've got for you this month. But if you take a look on the screen and just look at the green and red arrows, you definitely see that Cary, Apex, and Holly Springs are having a different experience than Morrisville and Fuquay-Varina right now. And so again, those are the important things for you to know as you're out in the area looking at homes, trying to decide what works best with your budget, what your pricing and offer strategies should be. So, do you want to go take a look at this log cabin before we head out? Let's do it. That's everything I've got for you this month. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you can keep your finger on the pulse of information that will help you make your relocation decisions. That's all I've got for you this week, my friends. I will talk to you next week. Bye.